G'day and welcome to another edition of the Aussie Ideas Man. This is going to have me speaking like Hillbilly Bill because I'm not going to edit out a lot of my pregnant pauses. I'm talking to a computer screen and I hate talking to a computer screen. That's when I pause all the time. In any case, you'll be happy to know that this is not a roast of anything Aptera has done. I've decided to shift my attention to somebody else. The reason why I'm doing this is because I've made some comments on his site. This particular site is my example now. London's calling. It's almost breaking news. Thank you to Fully Charged Show and Rob Llewellyn for providing the material. On this one here, I made some comments, and I believe it's Rob Llewellyn that has actually responded. And I've made some comments that aren't really, you couldn't call them favourable to Rob, but on the other hand, I'm just being candid, I'm just being truthful, and I'm a man of facts mainly. Today I might stray from the facts. What I say about Rob is my own personal opinion. I've formed it according to my experience, and I don't expect anybody to believe my opinion at all. I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist or anything in that field, so I have no reason to come across as an expert in personality traits or anything like that. So anything I say is just my opinion, and I will be not dealing in facts myself. Well, I try to deal in facts. There are some times when you just can't. You have to just take vague information and make the best of it yourself. And I think a lot of that comes under that banner. So let me first qualify these thoughts with the fact that, and I'm adamant about that, it's a fact that most things you see on social media and YouTube, including YouTube, is untrue. People take advantage and distort the truth in order to push some sort of barrow. And in this case, I just think that Rob Llewellyn is one of those people. And I'll just use things as examples. So first what I've done is taken a couple of comments of his from the London's Calling video. And so these comments you see, even though they're stills, they've been taken straight out of the comment section. You can find them in there. And you can find my responses, and you can find other people's responses. And after I've done those comments, I'm going to just run through the video itself. More than half an hour of video, but I won't be using much of it. I'll just take snippets of it as examples that Rob Llewellyn engages in a bit of manipulative banter. I can't think of words to describe it, but to push his barrow, he's straight down the line. Now, I am doing this because I have been blocked by Aptera content creators many times over, and their commenters, and I think that my lifespan of being seen on any of Fully Charged videos is almost over. I believe he doesn't have the ethics to keep comments on. Now, YouTube actually polices comments for vulgarity and other things, the disrespect for people and stuff like that. They police it well enough, and nobody who is a site creator really needs to do any more than let YouTube go rampant with what they do. Now, I haven't been all that probably more on the disrespectful side, but certainly not vulgar. I haven't been too bad at it. I've just been laying down ideas, I guess you can say, things that people need to know. so that they can form their own opinions. I haven't done anything really bad enough for Fully Charged Show to block me at all, yet these things happen. And it's one thing that I really don't like about social media. I believe in that American ethos of freedom of speech. And what I've seen over the past years is that American people don't even believe in their own ethos. And they have a great lack of ethics. Anyway, I may as well start and see what the first one is that I put down. Here it is. It's from Fully Charged Show, but I believe it's actually Rob Llewellyn. And in this one, he says, I admitted nothing. Can you supply peer-reviewed research that suggests a mere 3% carbon emissions from cars? That contradicts the mountains of evidence, research and reports suggesting global ground transport is responsible for 40% of emissions. I can see from your numerous comments that you essentially think it's fine to continue to burn hydrocarbons in old-fashioned combustion engines, and that's fine. I suppose that last "that's fine" is fine by him. I think we need to stop as soon as possible. There's not much in this one, but when I quoted 3%, I was being a bit loose. My fault, my bad there, but I'm just quoting something I'd seen a long time ago from John Cadogan's videos, who stressed the point that around 3% of carbon emissions from vehicles, not from everything, because 60%, as he says, from the mountains of evidence, 60% comes from industry. But from moving vehicles, 3% are roughly what private cars, small cars, in relation to trucks and buses and other heavy vehicles, construction machines and all sorts of things. 3% are about cars. And then the other 47% are, and I say roughly, I wasn't saying this was a specific figure, I say roughly 47% heavy trucks, buses, and construction machines like, I'm trying to think, bobcats, backhoes. In any case, you get what I mean. So it was the concept of it being a tiny amount compared to what other machines use fossil fuels. Now, he's come back to me and says that I need to have peer research, and I answered him saying it's a moot point because the concept of it being so small is there. And what I was saying was that if you want to, and he says we need to stop as soon as possible, if you want to have an effect, then just put your attention on fixing the 47%, not the 3%, and you will have a far greater effect. Many, many, many times over, the effect will be better if you are only to concentrate on the 40%. And that was my point. And I wasn't being facetious or having a go at him, other than to say that factually, that's what he should be doing. Anyway, that should do for that one. Let's move on to the next one. Here it is. And this one is probably the one that made me decide I need to have a conversation on my own website, channel. And so I'll read it. Mate, watch your mouth. You called me a liar. Well, I did. I made sure that I had heard things that could only be called lies. And so that's true. And he says, I'm fine being called a propagandist, an idiot, a tosser, a foul-mouthed pillock. Wrong about everything. That's your angry opinion, and that's fine. Now, I'll let you know that I never get angry, and, and that's just how I am. I'm a jovial sort of person, and I hate nobody, and I have certain levels of dislike for certain things, and even things people say, but I don't transfer it onto the person, and I certainly don't extend to this what I call a severe word called hate. Anyway, I see it's in the next line. He says any number of insults are fine. Water off a duck's back. Of course, he should have an extra F there. John Cadogan would pick him up on it. It's water of a duck's back at the present, and it should be water off a duck's back. But I don't think even that is true. I think he's trying to look like a nice guy, and I believe I see through him here as well. You can form your own opinion. Any number of insults are fine. Well, we'll see about that. Over time, I think he'll crack. Anyway, last line. But call me a liar and things get nasty. Watch your feverish hatred. Feverish hatred. I pity people like this. These people don't understand what other people write. They, I think, were looking out the window in school too often and didn't learn, particularly in the English class, how to comprehend what they read. And I think this is a fine example of that. Anyway, call me a liar and things get nasty, right? You can see just below I keep who responded, and it was me. And you should take a look at what I said, because basically it was try your best, do your best. I'm ready for you. Let's have a look at the next. And this is the last one that's sort of, against me. I've got two more that are moot, and they've got nothing to do with me. But this one here, I can't really be bothered to continue responding to you. I've had a lot of people do that, and it's not a case of lack of bother. It's a case of they haven't got the ammunition in their own armory to actually give a convincing response. That's the only way I can put it. And so they use lack of bother as the cop-out. Anyway, look at how he goes. Too troll-like, desperate for a bit of attention. Well, on Aptera sites, I just say to all of them, I wear troll like a badge of honour. Troll means nothing to me, and I don't care how troll-like I am, but I'm certainly not desperate for a bit of attention. I don't think I'm any worse than the normal human being. Lots of other people are content creators. I guess there would be a proportion of them that are desperate for a bit of attention. But as for me, not so. I want to practice at being a content creator, and I find things to do that I guess I know well enough to use as material to practice on. And it's not a matter of being desperate for attention. I just want to get good at being a content creator. And I realise myself that I suck. I am pretty bad at it. I've made 100 videos on Aptera and I still suck. And so practice is what I need to do. It's got nothing to do with attention. It's practice at getting good, so that you, the watchers and readers, can get something out of it, so that you can benefit. And I don't care what you think of me. That's immaterial. I just want to present something that you can get value out of, even if it's a joke. Giving jokes is value in some ways. Some people get on YouTube to find something funny to watch. Makes no difference to me. I'll keep going. I'll respond to this once and then ignore you with great pleasure. Well, I responded and said, well, I don't mind you ignoring me. It's probably your best option. But I don't want to see me being blocked. Anyway, I'll move on. Your hero, auto expert John Cadogan, certainly knows a lot about cars. And of course, being a lifelong petrol head, hates electric cars. There's that hate word again. And John Cadogan doesn't hate electric cars. He's had a Kona for nearly a year and he says how good it was. He believes, like me, and I form my opinions a lot from him, that there is room in this world for both. ICE vehicles and EVs can share the road side by side, and it all depends on everybody's individual use case as to which is good for them. But this is what this sort of person is, this Rob Llewellyn. He paints a misleading picture, and really that's a lie. And I think I told him in my response, you can see I responded below, it's a lie. John Cadogan doesn't have a hate for EVs. Anyway, he says, good on him, who cares? And well, I'll just put that down as being childish. I certainly don't. He sprouts exactly what I would expect. He's threatened by a new technology and he doesn't understand it. This is all just bull. He's just leading people down a wrong path, and it's for his barrow that he pushes. John Cadogan has a brilliant mind, and he understands most things. He certainly understands more about electricity and mechanics, all the trades, I would guess. I would bet he understands these things far better than, what's his name? Rob Llewellyn. He certainly understands it 100 or 1,000 times more than I do. So I put my trust in him. And I'm pretty sure that when Rob says he spouts exactly what I would expect, I doubt Rob Llewellyn has seen any more than 3 of his videos. And I've seen a lot more. Now, I wouldn't call John Cadogan a hero, but I give kudos where kudos are due. And he is a great presenter, and he sticks to facts a lot more than Rob Llewellyn does, by a country mile. John Cadogan is a man of facts. There's no doubt about it. Now he says it's very common, it's seen all around the world. Well, I pay no heed to comparisons outside of what we're discussing. And if you look at my Aptera videos, you will notice that trend in me. No point in making comparisons outside the world, especially when you are still limited to gossiping about it. No evidence, no examples at all. I'll keep moving. He's wrong about 3% coming from ground transport of cars. Well, in my response, sort of qualified that it was ballpark. It wasn't an exact 3%. But the concept that you can't fix the problem by looking at the very small proportion, which is EVs, personal cars, when the large proportion has no solution yet. Big machinery is very difficult to turn into electric. Anyway, he keeps going. Sure, buses, trucks, vans make up a great deal of fuel burning, but they are in the millions. Private cars are in the billions, but you don't need to care. You hate me and you want to believe what you believe, and who gives a toss? Not me. Okay, well, I made an argument about the millions and the billions. You can read it if you're interested, but it's misleading information. I'll let you know that much. It doesn't matter that one is in the millions and the other in the billions, because there are factors that show that the 47% versus 3%, roughly, is about the effect of them, not the numbers of them. It's about the carbon emissions, not a count of vehicles. So anyway, the end part is what's more important. Uh, you don't need to care. You hate me. Again, another accusation that is totally a lie. And you want to believe what you believe. And who gives a toss? Not me. Yeah. So I guess he's telling us he's not a tosser. Ironically, he is. He's a tosser. Anyway, he's personal. And I only say things about people when it's the issue at hand and there's nothing personal. I don't want to be personal. As far as I'm concerned, there's no way that he can make me hate him. All I can do is pity him for what he says and how he goes about it. And I have pity for a lot of people. Pity because they did sit and stare out the window when they should have been learning something in school. And their brain has not developed enough to be useful for other watchers or readers. Anyway, I'll keep going. Your trolling comment of because cars mainly do short hops to schools, work and shops is so hopelessly twisted. Okay, well that's part of the reason why it's not a count of cars in the 47%, 3% rough breakup. It's not a count of cars, it was a count of carbon emissions. Okay, so it's not hopelessly twisted. But anyhow, watch my pronunciation. I've given him the clue as to it being a count of carbon emissions, and it's gone right over his head. And he's come to the conclusion that that clue was twisted. Okay, I'll keep reading. Yes, compare one semi with one car. The semi burns more fuel. Okay, I agree with that. Compare 5 million cars doing short journeys with one semi. Okay, isn't that ridiculous? Why would you compare 5 million cars doing short journeys with one semi? Okay, and you can watch my rebuttal to understand that. I would have to take too much time to explain. J Zuds, whatever that means. How desperate can you be defending combustion engines? Well, this is interesting because I haven't even begun to be desperate. Not in the slightest. But I am just sticking to facts. As we go on to the later examples, we'll just say how desperate he is in defending really silly points that he makes. When it comes to desperation, it's him, not me. Anyway, on we go again. It's with some substitute for an apostrophe. It's nah religion for you. Well, I think it might be a religion for me. You are so mortified that anyone dare criticise the choices people make when they buy a 5.7 litre SUV to go to yoga and get a coffee that it constitutes paganism. Well, unfortunately, this, I don't know, guy must have some sort of crystal ball or something and and it's not working because I've never been mortified about anything. And it's not a religion for me. I do have my own religion. And the two are totally different. Cannot compare the two. But yes, I believe in God and I have a religion, a particular religion. And it has nothing to do with any of this. And I have never been mortified about anything. And I love people criticising. The only thing that I stipulate is that the criticism is valid. I don't like criticising when the criticisms are manipulative and based on lies or based on an attempt to push their own barrow to dupe people into many different things like increasing their viewership or in some way making financial contributions. So I think I'll just go past that one. And the one about the person getting a coffee was his example of what was wrong with the world. Anyway, the next thing he says is calm down. Ah, that crystal ball that's not working at all. I'm a very calm person. And once again, there's a threshold where my buttons are pushed, but they have never been pushed on social media. Not even close. And so where does he get this uh, need to calm down from? I don't know. And it just shows that he's all over the shop with how he reads material from other people. There you go. You can see I've got pregnant pauses everywhere. Ignore this channel. Watch Auto Expert John Cadogan and don't worry about it. Again, that's what he would love to do. But I do me and he needs to do him. But when I do me, all I'm doing is saying that he needs to improve in how he does his work. He needs to worry less about the financial gains or the number of viewers that he gets and worry more about what is fact and what is honest and upright and has integrity. These are the things that I've been mentioning that has got his, I don't know, I think maybe got him excited. But I'm only guessing. This is why I say I'm not dealing in facts now. I'm speculating. I'm just wondering how can this person be like he is? And there's no answer. You form your own answer. On to the more irrelevant ones, the last two. Here it is. As you might be able to guess, we hear this comment every day. Let me say this. For most of my life, I didn't even know people who bought new cars. Literally none of my mates did. I bought third, fourth, fifth-hand cars that then required endless servicing and spare parts and cost a huge amount more to run for a few years than the £500 I paid for the damn thing. Up until, whoa, I've just, I forgot to pause. And it went on to the last one. And it still has. Come on, what am I doing? This is old age. Okay, it's paused. Where was I? Up until this year, there has been a very limited supply of second-hand EVs in the UK, for example. But that has changed. Hundreds of thousands of second-hand cars have hit the market here, and the prices have fallen through the floor. Now everyone is complaining that second-hand electric cars are too cheap. It's a transition. It will take another 10 years for the market to stabilise, but here's the thing. If I was 22 years old, to Fay, I could buy a second or third hand EV and I would be able to fuel it cheaply. And the cost of servicing and spare parts is a fraction of what I did pay back when I was 22 with my Morris Minor van that literally fell apart as I drove along. Makes me wonder why he bought a van, but I won't go into that. This one here is, as I said, fairly moot. It's nothing against me. He was talking to somebody else, I think, but as you see by the one below, I put in a bit of my 2 cents worth anyway. It is a little misleading. I can't remember, it was 2 days ago, I think. But I think I started off with saying that his one example is not indicative of a whole country or the world, for that matter. But in any case, I'll let this one fly. Just that he's in there to manipulate and I just thought that this one was a little bit manipulative. It does nothing much more than that. I'll move on. Probably should have just let the thing go when when I forgot to pause. So here's the last one. And I'll qualify this one. I should have probably qualified the last one because it made less sense to you. If you look and read all the comments, you'll get the gist of it. But this one here, I'll qualify. He had made the statement that France was the UK's nearest rival, and a few people, one in particular, of course, began by saying that Ireland is the nearest rival to the UK, and he is staunchly defending it. And I actually made a mistake when I responded to him because I just said that there needed to be a 12.4 mile or larger gap between the border between Northern Ireland, which is the UK, and the Republic of Ireland, which happens to be just a line through the ground. There's no 22-mile sea in between uh, the UK in Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. But anyway, what I didn't twig to was that his argument was even more foolish because while he's comparing a shorter distance to Scotland, Scotland is still the UK. It's not a neighbour. It's not a neighbour to the UK. Scotland is the UK. So Northern Ireland to Scotland, that 12.4 miles, is UK to UK. The nearest neighbour is still, and he can't be told that he's wrong. The nearest neighbour is still the Republic of Ireland, and it's one step over the border. That's all. Okay? One step over the border is nothing like 22 miles of English Channel to get to France. Anyway, did I read it? So it's 12.4 miles between Torhead in Northern Ireland, currently part of the UK, and the Mull of Kintyre, which I'm hoping is part of Scotland, which is part of the UK. The Republic of Ireland, part of the EU, is further from our shores than France, 22 miles. So technically France is our nearest neighbour. That doesn't make sense to me either when I think about it. 22 miles is further than 12.4 miles, is what I think he's saying. Doesn't matter. This is not about me. It's fairly moot. Okay, where is it? Neva's neighbour. Not that it makes any difference because, as we've been told by some truly inept and corrupt politicians, this small island, the UK, is better off, and there we go again, better off trading with Australia and New Zealand, which in their insane fantasy world, closer than France and the rest of the massive economic area of Western Europe. The only thing I can say about this is, he defends a point which I think it wasn't worth defending. It was a little thing that said, yes, France is our nearest neighbour. And generally, who cares? As far as all the neighbours around the world go, it's right up there. There's only the Republic of Ireland that does get a little closer. Big deal. It's trivial. In any case, he staunchly defends it. And while he's staunchly defending it, he talks about politicians in their fantasy world and people that are truly inept and politicians that are corrupt. So it's just his style that I think is over the top. Now, I use a similar style, but I don't believe I'm over the top. I believe I just do enough to prove the point. And I, first of all, make sure that the point is most likely correct. I try to stick to facts. And so I'll have this style that may look a little bit abrupt like him, but really the two of us are worlds apart. So that's it. I have yet to read or watch and make comments on that. See if I can quickly get back to it. should be able to do it. There it is. London's calling. It's almost breaking news. They will be very small in comparison to the 31.5 minutes that the video goes for. But what I'm thinking is I've really talked long enough now, and I will save it for a part 2 video. And for all those that didn't like what I said, well, you don't have to watch the part 2 video now, do you? And for all those that had some interest, for whatever reason, whether it's laughable or whether they're actually learning something, by all means, watch my video coming up. That's all for me, for half the job done. Bye for now, and stay safe.